welcome back to my next playthrough series. Oh my good word, this is a large game, space-wise, and very much a pile of complexity, which I will, of course, not mess up at all. I will have every rule perfect. Yeah. I'm going to be doing a two-player game, which is basically a solo game, and by using two different factions of island defense, and we basically have a horde of zombies coming at us, a la Dawn of the Zeds, same designer, Herman Luttman, and well, they're not called horrors here, but they are zombies. And I'm actually using the bag of zombies that you can buy for the zombies game. They're just these little miniatures, and they work very well visually for this game. So there are tokens that you use for the zombies, but I'm going to be using actual physical miniatures. Okay, there is a lot of setup in this game. I have set everything up. We'll quickly look at our two factions. The anatomy of standees, which are out on the board. There are some special Z units that can come out. I'll probably be using Dawn of the Zed terminology a lot. There's special zombie units that can come out. We have some NPC units, 3 of them. 1 starts on the board. There is so much going on. So I will we'll go over the setup, look at our factions a little bit, do the very first part of, the very last part of setup before we get into the first turn. I know, I'm not making any sense. This is a very complicated game, though. There's some really good videos out there on how to play, and the one that I watched is basically 3 30-minute episodes, so that tells you just how much is going on in this game. All right, we're going to look at a couple of boards quickly, and then I'm going to go through the setup in the book. I've already done it, but we'll just go through the steps so you know what took place. And then we're going to do that final step to set up. And then when we come back the next day, I don't know if I'm going to get a video up a day for this. I don't think I will. The workplace has got me working extra now. Anyway, it's a whole long story. But I'll be trying to get videos up as quickly as I can. Unfortunately, I do not think we're going to be getting one up a day like I normally do. All right, let's take a look at one of the sort of main tracking board. I'll explain a little bit what's going on there. And then we're going to look at the setup. Alright, so this is the main tracking board of the game. There's basically 9 turns in the game. Each turn is going to be consisting of pulling 4 tokens from the bag. And the tokens that are in the bag are 3 fate ones, an event token, growing dread, and 2 of each faction. So as you pull a token out, that's what's going to activate, and that would consist of 1 round. So we're going to be doing that 9 times. And as you can see, we've got like a day, we have day phase, or morning, afternoon, night. So the first 3 turns, and then the next, So we basically go through 3 complete days. So this is our game round tracker with the 4 tokens for each turn. So the number in red is the number of actions the factions can take during in the morning time, our factions can take only 1 action. That's collective action. We have 6 units in each faction, and we can only activate 1 of them for 1 action. Wow. Yeah. So to quickly look at that, let's take a look at what actions we can do. We'll get into the details of these. I'm not going to go through them. So we can move, we have combat, we have crowd control, we have evacuate, use a special action, we have repair, build a compound, use a location action, heal, reposition, and supplies. All right, very simple. So if you want to pause and read through the details of those, so those are the actions you can take, and these are the number of actions you can take during those turns. All right, we have a biohazard track, which we're getting into now, how you lose the game. If the biohazard track ever gets to this 17, it's game over, man. We also have overrun points, and I'll explain how all of this works as we're playing the game. There are yellow locations on the board. If any of the zombies get to the yellow locations and there's nothing there, like it's absolutely clear of civilians and NPCs and player units and such, then you get an overrun based on a chart. There's some charts in here. There's another chart here for attacking, but we'll worry about that when we get into combat. And here's how we try to win the game. We have evacuation points. There are civilians on the board which have been populated, and we'll go through the setup. So say the Walter family here is worth 3. So if we rescue them, get them evacuated, we'll get 3 points on the track. The only way to win this game, and there's only one way, is you have to, at the end of 9 turns, you have to have 26 plus points of rescued evacuated civilians to win the game. Another way to lose the game instantly is if all of your units of one faction are killed, then you immediately lose the game. And if your compound, which is your 6th unit, is not on the board and you lose your 5 sort of other units, then you just lose the game. Anyway, it's all bad. So that's basically the tracking. We have biohazard cubes. Every time you get into a combat, hand-to-hand combat, you'll be adding a cube to the bag. If you pull a cube out of the bag when you're told to, and we'll get into that as we play the game, yellow ones give you 1, red ones give you 2. And what happens when you run out of yellow ones to throw in the bag starts with 5 green tokens in it. Those do nothing, which is what you always want to see. If you run out of yellow tokens to throw in the bag, you put red tokens in the bag. When you run out of red tokens and you need to put them in the bag, then the biohazard level goes up for every token you can't put in the bag. Very quick ways to lose the game. Okay, I'm going to zoom down super quickly on the units, and then we'll just go through the setup. Alright, I hope this is going to focus pretty good. So this is the anatomy of a standee. So we have standees here, and they've got a bunch of numbers and things on them. The yellow triangle is the close combat. Then we have a bullet symbol, which is your ranged combat. The 3 here is your admin rating, which is used for specific things in the game we'll get to. The red 3 here is the bravery rating. The little heart symbol is the number of health that particular unit has. The 5 with there is vehicular movement, and the little 2 with the footstep is bipedal movement, walking along. And then if you have a plus symbol, it's a health special ability. And if you got a flag on your unit, it's leadership ability. They all have special abilities as per your cards. As you can see, 3 of our the Plum Island Constabulary right here. Now the horror hit potential, this is how you calculate it, but there's a chart, so we're just going to use the chart. It's much easier. All right, let's take a look super high level at our 6 units for the Plum Island Constabulary. As I mentioned, there's a ridiculous amount of stuff going on in this game. All right, so each of our characters, I've already placed them on the board. We'll get that set up. So every one of these factions starts with 2 supplies. You spend a supply to do a ranged attack, and you spend supplies when you build your compounds. You spend a supply if you want to use your vehicular movement, calling it like gasoline. So we only start with 2, so we probably want to do some actions to get some more supplies. Not going to go through all of these guys in particular. We'll look at them as we play the game, but if you want to pause and read through all of their abilities, you can. We'll get to the next faction we have is the Greenport Township. And I feel like this is going to be a long video just showing you the game and trying to get things set up. So here we have, of course, we have 5 individuals, and they are in starting locations, which are they're already out on the board, as you probably saw as we had a little bit high level view. Everyone starts with 2 supplies, and there they are. So again, we lose all of these characters from a particular faction, we lose the game. Okay, let's have a look in the rule book on the setup. We'll run through it quickly, and then you'll see how everything got set up. Okay, maybe a little bit on the board. So how do we evacuate civilians? Well, we have a ship here at the docks, and it's got a value of 2. If you do an evacuate action, with you can take 2 civilians off the map. Again, I'll try to explain as we play the game. I think it's probably easier to do that. There's helicopters that can evacuate civilians. And the back of all of these tokens have numbers. So here's a 3. Well, that's pretty good right down here. And those are the values that you'll add to your evacuation chart. All right, in the book, which is really cool, looks like a little cartoon or comic book, is the setup. So let's take a look at the setup. And we'll run through it relatively quickly because, like I said, I have it all set up. So what we do, of course, is step 1, place the board the game board on the table. It's freaking huge. It takes up way up north. And I'll show you the zombies up there in a second. Then we choose factions. I've already shown you the 2 factions. And then we place the units out on the board, which I've done. So, you know, so we basically, the NPC, the shore patrol starts here down the Coast Guard station. We have Drebin, or detective here from the constabulary starts on the Greenport docks. People are where they are supposed to be according to their sheets. Tells you where they're supposed to start. Done. All right, next part of the setup, add the NPC units to the board. Did that. So we got our shore patrol here. We have our 2 boats here, which can evacuate civilians, and they can also, this one also has a ranged attack value on it, so it can shoot at shoot at zombies in its space or an adjacent space. And adjacency has to have a connected arrow. The arrows, the direction of the arrows has to do with the horrors, the zombies. Doesn't have to do with the player characters. They can move as long as there's an arrow connecting. We can go either direction. And there's an airmed helicopter here at the hospital. So anyway, the units are placed down where they're supposed to be. So that takes care of that. Add the civilian units. There are 30 civilian units populated out on the board. Did it as per the setup. There are 8 left over. They may come out in the game later based on card draws, but so we've got like 2 here, 2 here. They're all named as well. They all have names. So this is like Pop's Donuts worth 1, and they're sitting, of course, at Town Hall with our mayor. So there we go. Very, very fun stuff. All right, and then we have the turn order token. So basically we have, like I said, we have 2 faction tokens per each faction in the bag. We've got the 3 fate tokens, and we have the 1 impending doom token that's in the bag. And that's this. They come with some nice bags. See, these are like really nice cloth bags. So I'm not even using my Crown Royal because these ones are awesome. I don't need to worry about that. All right, biohazard cubes. We put 5 of them in the biohazard bag. Green ones. Comes with a nice cloth biohazard bag. And I mentioned about the biohazard cubes. They'll start populating into this bag as we go. You get 14 of each. I've already mentioned all of that. The 3 card decks are all shuffled. So we have a fate card deck, an event card deck, a search card deck. Done and shuffled. Spawn Murder of Horror units. We are to put 4 Murder of Horror units, i.e. zombies, on each start track. Let me zoom up to the top of the board and I'll show you that. Alright, so you get a bit of my wall, and I have a dice bag here at the end of my table so the table doesn't keep banging into the wall. That's what this little felt thing is. I'm using the little plastic zombies from the bag, zombies from the zombie game, because they're actually a good size. They're tiny, but they're about half the size of the ones from Zombie Side. So I thought they were good. So we put 4 of those in each start space. So they're labeled track 1 through 6, and that'll all make sense as we play the game. All right, I'm going to back the camera a little bit more. We're going to go back and continue on with the setup. All right, that has put all of the Murder of Horrors in. Of course, yeah, they show you here all the tracks. So we placed 4 on each track. Yes, there's still some more setup. 9, place Mutations on the horror factions. We've done that. So they're just up here. They're sitting there, little standees. And they will come out as per some card draws. You might not see them all. You might see all of them. You might see none of them. 1 or 2 of them. Who knows? Place markers on the game tracks. We've already looked at this starting setup track. All the game markers are out there. And then the black health cubes. There's a whole pile of them. You don't need a specific number of those. They're just used to track the health of our faction units and the health of the special zombie units, because they have actual health value. And our NPC has health value as well. Like our shore guy here has a 3, and he's up on a board, so we'll track their health at the bottom here. All right, now we have storm damage. So there was a massive storm on Plum Island, and everything went to hell, and that's how the game begins. So I've already put all of this damage out on the board. So all the locations that said to have damage have got damage on them. So they're out there. And then I did this bridge storm damage. You're to draw a fate card and look at this chart. I happen to draw a 2, so I got coastal damage. Place 2 damage marker on the following coastal, plus the bridge over here, the Great South Bay Bridge. So it's got some damage on it. And the coastal damage basically did damage to these bridges here. Now when a bridge has damage, player units cannot take that path. Zombies can, and there's a special rule for them moving across damaged bridges, which is actually kind of neat. That's it. So that has been done. I know, lots of setup. And now it is time for us to finish off our episode for today with First Contact. Alright, before players begin the game, they must determine where first contact with the horrors of Plum Island occur. The final step of the game setup, the monster horrors stack will move forward until with a player unit, faction, or until contact with a player unit, faction, or civilian unit is made. After all, how can players do anything? Until I realize there's a problem. Any player, so we begin flipping the fate cards, and we reference the activate sections only, ignore all other sections. So we're basically going to be activating our zombies until we run into something that they're going to attack. And yeah, we have civilians at the top of the board. They're probably going to get attacked first. So we're going to take our fate deck. I'm going to give that a little bit of a shuffle here. And we're going to start drawing fate cards. And then we shuffle them all after. We shuffle them all back after. So the first one we draw is we draw this one. And so you'll see here it says spawn. We ignore the spawn. We just activate. So we're going to activate track 1. Well, what does that mean? It means we're going to be activating, of course, track 1 is this one here. Now, how far do the zombies move? There is a movement chart for zombies, for the horrors. So let's consult that, and then we'll see what happens. There's a lot going on. I don't know if this is focusing. If you have 1 to 3 horrors or horror tiles, they move 3 areas. If you have 4 to 6, they move 2 areas. If you have 7 or more, they move 1 area. And the special dudes have their own little footsteps. They move according to what it says on their card. And they get, and all of the horror, all zombies get +1 movement at night. Now remember, night only happens 1 out of every 3 turns. So it looks like in track number 1, we have 4 zombies there, so they'll be moving 2 areas. And I hope this is focusing. So in track 1, we have 4 shambling along, and they're going to go 1 area and 2 areas, and they run into a building location, the Wenner Bread Company. And they end up munching on. So yes, there's going to be a combat. So they will combat civilians. Civilians have 1 health. These guys will do a damage of 2. There's a chart for that. We could take a look at that. But they basically, bottom line, will kill these guys. And they were worth 1. But when there is a hand-to-hand combat, we must add a yellow cube into the bag. So we're going to go ahead and do that. The other thing we do is if they take out a unit, they have destroyed those poor unfortunate wretches, which were the Rough Life dog grooming crew. Unfortunately, we're going to have to add another one of these lovely little zombies to the horde. So that's what happens. And we're going to take a yellow, our first biohazard yellow cube, and add it into the biohazard bag with the already 5 green ones. And that is where I'm going to leave it off today. We're going to back the camera out. That was our first contact, so we've had a first contact happen. Actually, not terrible, so pretty happy with that. It could have been a lot worse, but well, I mean, that was bad enough. All right, we're going to zoom out. We're going to wrap up our episode for today. All right, well, that's going to wrap up our introductory episode. I know there is a massive ton of stuff going on in this game. I hope to explain it as I go along. I will very hopefully try not to make errors. Bear with me. Check the comments, as always. Like I said, the episodes are very likely not coming out every day. I just don't have the time to do it. This game's very complicated. I'm going to try my best to not mess up the rules. So that's going to delay me as well. And because the episodes are going to come out every 2 or 3 days, likely, there will probably be some comments of people who really know this game and how to play it. If I do not catch an error in editing myself, hopefully someone in the comments will leave a comment to correct some error, and I can get it corrected before the next episode. That would be pretty helpful. Okay. Thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for your comments, subscriptions, likes. This is the Plum Island Horror. We're doing a solo 2-player co-op game of it. We're trying to rescue civilians. We got to rescue at least 26 plus points worth of them before we get overrun or biohazarded to death, or we lose all of one faction's units. Yeah, it's going to be a rough go, but that's this type of game. So thanks so much, and I will say see you tomorrow, but it's probably going to be a couple of days, maybe 2 or 3. I will try to get them out as quickly as I can. No promises, though. Like I said, I'm super busy at the moment, and I'm having a time crunch. So we'll get these out as quickly as I can. I hope you're going to enjoy it. It looks like a lot of fun. It also looks like a lot of chaos and craziness happening. And I'll try to explain all the moves and what everybody's doing so you understand how the game plays. I know I did a super high level look at everything quickly and hope to explain a little bit better as we actually go through the turns. All right, thanks so much. We'll see you next time for continuation of the Plum Island Horror.